prologue. As a bartender, I was curious if people like me with low blood levels get drunk faster than others. So I created this YouTube channel and got started with the Watch Me Get Drunk videos. This is a video explaining my aplastic anemia and why my blood levels are lower than everyone else's. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, I'm back, and this week, instead of doing a drink till I got drunk video, I decided to explain my medical history, because a few of you have asked on my Facebook or my Insta what it was and my treatment and everything. So I figured I might as well make a video on it to explain. Now, if I ramble on a little bit, it is based on my I can remember happened. So yeah, it might be a little rambly, but it all starts back in 2012, back when I was in year 8. Basically, we'd been trying to get into a doctor's appointment in the normal town we go to, and they'd just couldn't get in when my mum had days off. And my school nurse had called my mum from the town I was going to school in, and told her that I'd been looking real unwell lately, so she asked if she could get me into a doctor's appointment, and if it was okay, because I was really pale, like my lips were like a piece of paper, that I get a blood test. And Mum said, yep, definitely, anything they need. So I did. I went in and got this doctor's appointment, and they gave me a blood test, and back then I was terrified of needles. Can remember that. And that was on the Monday. Come the Wednesday, my mum got a phone call while she was at work, and she lives I worked half an hour from where we lived, that she was supposed to get me back into the hospital in half an hour to be shipped off to Brisbane. But because she lived half an hour from where I worked, and I didn't go to school that day, it took a little bit longer. And it was such a rush to get to the hospital. But once we got there, everything slowed down, because they worked out that I didn't have the right blood levels to be able to fly to Brisbane. It ended up being near on midnight when they got an ambulance that would be able to connect, and I can't remember whether it was Toowoomba or Warwick, and then go all the way to Brisbane, where I went to the Royal Children's Hospital. And when I actually got out of the emergency section and was admitted into a ward, I was actually admitted into the ward named after Banjo Patterson. So it's interesting being a Patterson in Patterson ward. But yeah, we were there to get more tests done to find out what was wrong. And within a day of being there, we were told we were going to be there for a week, me and my mum. Then we were told that day that we wouldn't be going home for 3 months. And I remember when I found out I was diagnosed with, which is chronic aplastic anemia. Basically, my body forgot how to make blood. I remember just not wanting to get chemo done. First year of high school, do not want to lose my hair. So we went a different route, which was Atgam and cyclosporin, which I can't remember what the Atgam does, but cyclosporin is an immune system suppressant. We went with that the first time, and that after a few months it worked. And surprisingly, I'd always been short in primary school, and like it was literally 3 or 4 years where I'd only grew like 1 centimeter. And once I started getting blood transfusions, I grew 10 centimeters in 1 month, which was interesting. But yeah, and after a few months and on that treatment and blood transfusions, and I had to have a port put in, which is a little plastic thing about this big, that it went right there underneath that scar, and it went into the vein here somewhere to have blood transfusions, blood tests, whatever. And that's what I had the first time. And then by the end of the year, I had come home and got, after another few months, I got a letter in the mail saying that I qualified to have a wish through the Starlight Foundation, which I wished to go meet Cosentino because I wanted to be a magician at the time. And he was lovely. Him and his brother, we got to meet them in the VIP section before the VIPs come in. It was a lovely experience. Got to go down to Adelaide and go to the zoo and stuff. That was when I was 14. And then I was fine. Went off all my medications and everything for a year. Sorry. I was going to say 2, for a year. And then once I turned 16, I noticed that I was getting tired again and real pale again. And I was still getting blood tests every week just to keep track of what was going on. And they noticed that my levels were dropping significantly again. So I ended up having to go back to Brisbane in my first year at the other high school that we have here, because the first one only goes to year 10. First year at Gundy High, I was relapsed and had to go back. And at that point, I was told that I didn't have a choice this time. It was going to be chemo and a bone marrow transplant. There was lots of art therapy where I met some great friends before going in. Not many of them are still alive at this point. Some great people I'll never forget. Unfortunately, a few of them didn't make it. At that point in time, I through the art therapy and stuff, I took full advantage of knowing I was going to lose all my hair. I bleached it and then dyed it all different colours just to have fun with it. And this come up to the point where I was getting ready to go in and have my bone marrow transplant, which, because of the amount of different treatments and antihistamines and painkillers and everything else, and the chemo, I had to have a central line put in. I'll see if I can zoom in on that so you can see it. You can't really tell the scar because it was only a tube that had come out of my skin. But that was the week leading up to the 4th of September 2015. And that's when I had all the chemo that was done for this, which was 6 months worth of chemo in a week. And then the transplant day was the 4th of September 2015. I don't remember transplant day. My donor was an unknown male from either England or America. I was never allowed to know which one. I wasn't even allowed to give my social worker a letter to say thank you, because I might somehow get in contact with him in the future might need more transplants or something like that. Anyway, because he was a different blood type, fun fact, it's the only organ or thing that you can have transplanted that's a different blood type, even though it's the organ that makes your blood, your bone marrow. But yeah, I was on that many different antihistamines and painkillers that day that I only remember the beginning of it, and it was like a pinky peach juice coming through like a blood transfusion. And apparently I watched like 3 or 4 movies that day, but I don't remember it. And that started 3 months of isolation that me and my mum were in the isolation ward in Lady Slento's Children's Hospital, which I now is just called Brisbane Children's Hospital, I think. My only solace was towards the end. There was some points in time where I could get out of hospital for like an hour out into the gardens on the hospital, like floor 5. If I had this needle that it like acid going into my leg, that they had to hold me down to be able to give it to me, just for a maybe, for my immune system to come up enough to be able to go outside. But before going in though, because I knew I was losing my hair, we shaved my head, because there was no way I was sitting there and having just clumps of my long hair falling out. It was hard enough having my short hair fall out. This was day 1 in isolation, and this was after all my hair fell out. I don't have many photos of me with no hair. I didn't let my mum take many photos of me with no hair. That was just no way. Not being 16 and looking like that. I wish there was more now, but at 16 I wasn't allowing it. But unfortunately, about halfway through my isolation, I got pneumonia and had to go down to the ICU ward on Halloween. And from memory, that was when Johnny Depp done his dress up as Jack Sparrow and went around to all the children's wards. He wasn't allowed in my room because of being in isolation, and he was in his get up, so it's just too much to be able to disinfect to be able to get in. So I remember him waving from the outside, and it was the highlight of my week that week. But my mum spent the whole time with me. Besides that week, she wasn't allowed to stay that week because there's no bed in the ICU. They put her up in a hotel for that week. But yeah, I always think it's funny with all this COVID and that everyone was complaining about isolation for 2 weeks, and I spent 3 months of it. But, you know. But yeah, and I come out of it the other side with short hair and that, and had my essential iron taken out. But when my hair grew back, it grew back very curly like my hair is, like a poodle. But yeah, that's my story as I can remember it. There's probably a lot I've left out. My memory's not that great with everything. It's not something you really want to remember. But sometimes I'm not don't feel well enough to be able to drink that much. I might do a review or a couple of reviews this week, but I'm not drinking till I'm drunk. Alright, thank you guys for watching my story time, and I'll see yous next time. Love yous.